Let me tell you how my spiritual master fulfilled the 500-year prophecy and why he's the greatest proponent of spiritual truth that the last century has seen. Of course, a disciple will always think that his or her guru is the most outstanding. So don't be surprised when I say my guru owns that distinction. But he really does. Now listen to this. Bhaktivedanta Swami was born in colonial India in 1896. And at the age of 26, he was requested by his guru to teach Bhakti Yoga and the Hare Krishna mantra to the English-speaking world and beyond. For the next 30 years, Bhaktivedanta Swami attended to work and family, all the while doing his best to teach bhakti in India to Indians, regularly producing a monthly magazine and writing books, not in Bengali or Hindi, but in English. In this way, he prepared himself for what he called his mission.
My mission is to preach.
In 1959, Bhaktivedanta Swami accepted the renounced order, sannyas. He became a Swami since the title garnered respect and would make people more inclined to hear his message. But in the meantime, his guru continued to reappear in dreams, requesting him to give spiritual knowledge to a world that was completely devoid of it. Now, in the following 6 years, Bhaktivedanta Swami struggled to travel west. His eyes were set on America because he reasoned that America was the world leader. And if they took to what he called Krishna consciousness, then the whole world would follow. It was a good strategy, but still, he needed to find a sponsor, to get passage to New York, and to acquire clearance to leave India. And although almost penniless, he continued to write, print, and personally sell his books and periodicals. In addition, he would speak wherever invited. Finally, in the summer of 1965, at the age of 70, the stars converged. He was able to board a ship bound for Boston, USA. His possessions, 40 rupees, which equivalent to $5, a pair of hand cymbals with which to chant Hare Krishna, a change of clothes, a steam cooker, a bag of muesli, and 3 trunks of his translation and commentary of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the conclusive treatise on bhakti and the essence of timeless spiritual wisdom. He called it India's gift of peace and goodwill to the world. Now, in the 5 weeks at sea, he suffered 2 heart attacks, and upon his arrival in Boston, he later said, "I didn't know whether to turn left or right." With such handicaps, most observers would say this mission was a setup for failure. But although he was alone, without resources or friends, Bhaktivedanta Swami was showered with blessings from above. 500 years earlier, the avatar of Krishna and apostle of bhakti, Sri Chaitanya, predicted that one day Krishna Kirtan and Bhakti Yoga would spread to every town and village of the world. And in the following 12 years until his passing, Bhaktivedanta Swami fulfilled that prophecy. Starting in a small shopfront in New York, he went on to establish a worldwide movement he called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And traveling continuously, he circled the globe 13 times, during which he visited 108 cities and opened over 100 temples, farming communities, schools, and restaurants. He gave 2,000 lectures and 1,000 interviews, initiated 5,000 disciples, and recorded over 20 albums of devotional music. Sleeping only 2 hours at night, he wrote more than 80 books, such as the Bhagavatam in 32 volumes, and the Bhagavad Gita, of which 30 million have been sold in over 70 languages, and which was praised by scholars as, quote, one of the best books available on the Gita and devotion, an ideal blend of literal accuracy and religious insight, unquote. In addition, in 1974, he established 2 projects. The first, Food for Life, a program for free global food distribution, which has seen billions fed to date. The other, the Bhaktivedanta Institute, where academically qualified devotees would engage the scientific community and argue the indispensable role of God in understanding and explaining science. Who could accomplish such miracles unless empowered from the realm of the divine? And while Bhaktivedanta Swami chanted the names of God, Krishna, he taught the world about Krishna Kirtan, karma, meditation, reincarnation, yoga, and vegetarianism. And he introduced his followers to a pure lifestyle, free of promiscuity and intoxication, a life of simple living and high thinking, a life that he taught by his personal example. In the words of Beatle George Harrison, he was a perfect example of everything he preached. He continues to say, one day I just realized, God, this man is amazing. He would sit up all night translating Sanskrit into English, putting in glossaries to make sure everyone understands it, and yet he never came off as someone above you. Bhaktivedanta Swami's achievements and appeal were not limited to the youth of the 60s and 70s. Scholars, religionists, and lawmakers recognized his scholarship and the authentic spiritual tradition he had transplanted from India to the world. And those who met him could not fail to be impressed. Harvard professor of divinity Harvey Cox said, Bhaktivedanta Swami is, of course, only one of thousands of teachers. But in another sense, he's one in 1,000, maybe one in 1,000,000. See, I was right. My guru is the best. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself. Order one of his books or his biography. As he used to tell us, if you want to know me, read my books.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.